But well, like Wicklow yesterday, ending up with no reward. But the second game here at Tullamore with the meeting of Dublin and Westmeath, and that's coming up after this commercial break. Tullamore for the Championship football doubleheader here today. Well, the second game between Dublin and Westmeath. Dublin obviously the clear favourites to win this one, and the Dub supporters here in force this afternoon expecting to see a win. But will it be as straightforward as all that? Well, let's find out. The commentator on this one is Ger Canning.
Most of this Westmeath team were on the side that gave a convincing display against Kildare in last year's championship. The best known of them is Michael Spike Fagan, who toured Australia with Ireland in the Compromise Series. Forwards Michael Broder and Ger Heben were in the under-21 team that reached last year's Leinster final. But one man who comes under the spotlight this afternoon is centre-half back Aidan Collins, a 27-year-old from Athlone, and all because of the man he's due to mark. And that's Keith Barr, normally a half-back, but drafted in on the 40 because of the suspension of Tommy Carr. And this is the full Dublin team, more or less on the same lines as their league final team. However, Pat Gilroy replaces Paul Beelan, who misses the game through injury, and Desi Farrell is also back in harness, taking up his customary right corner forward berth. And as you can see, it's more or less a packed house here at O'Connor Park. Still many of the Dublin supporters trying to make their way in here. There was a story of a train breaking down on the way to Tullamore. It's a splendid balmy afternoon. Westmeath won the toss and they opt to play from left to right in the first half. Westmeath side coming back here to O'Connor Park, where they won a vital league match back last February, beaten awfully by a point. Martin Doran here trying to set up a first Dublin attack, assisted by Jack Sheedy, taking the return himself, running into a strong challenge then, over forceful indeed. It's John Murray, the Westmeath player, involved. Paul Clark, chance to put the Dubs ahead. And he's put it wide. Well, I think he missed the first one in the league final replay as well, and didn't miss too many more after that. Westmeath working their way out of trouble. John Murray still pressing forward. Tom Ormsby, big tall midfielder. A real hit and hope one, and no trouble whatsoever to John O'Leary. The another left in the Westmeath team is Noel Lynch, kind of Carlos Valderrama of Westmeath. John Cooney fisting it down. Nobody expecting the break of the ball, however. Paul Curran. Into Desi Farrell's corner. Desi trying to wrestle free, fouled. Has the option of taking the free himself, but I think it's going to be Paul Clark who'll kick it. Again, starting his run at right angles to the target. Clark making the most of the second chance. And so Dublin go in front. Gilroy taking it splendidly. Niall Guyden. Now Keith Barr. First possession that he's got in this match. Vinnie Murphy on for his centre-half back to kick over another one. Paul Curran coming into the breach. That was a lovely score. First point from play. Dublin second. Nice piece of passing involving Keith Barr. And when Paul Curran came into the breach, he had one thing in his mind. That was a score. Good backup support here again. Gilroy taking it nicely on towards Keith Barr. First chance to score here. That could have gone anywhere. Referee's whistle has sounded. A Dublin player on the ground. Ball ended up in the hands of John Conlon. Free from the 20-metre line is going to be the result for a push. As Keith Barr was going in that time, I suppose he was thinking maybe of that great goal he got in last year's Leinster final against Kildare. Should be point number 3 for Dublin, and the second for Paul Clark. Very simple kick. Pat O'Neill, I think, just looking a little bit concerned. There was an injury picked up a few minutes ago there by Keith Barr. He also wants a bit more urgency among his forwards. Gilroy again fisting it down this time, but it's Tom Ormsby who gets it for Westmeath. Harry Giles is being held. Free quickly taken. Reaches John Fleming. Westmeath needing a couple of scores quickly. That's their second wide. They haven't really threatened John O'Leary's goal so far. Westmeath making a switch in their half-forward line, repositioning the two wing forwards. It's Dublin with Niall Guyden, who are doing most of the good football so far. Jack Sheedy. Good ball inside, touched by a defender, could have gone anywhere, ends up going over the bar off the boot of Paul Clark. Gilroy forcing it away. Spike Fagan looking for support, getting it there from John Cooney. Back towards Ormsby once again. Westmeath trying to set up their first decent attack. Harry Giles had drifted very, very deep indeed. There was space in behind them, but only Dublin players there to cover. Guyden. Right inside towards Niall Guyden once again. Desi Farrell's sideline punt. Jack Sheedy trying to come across for it. Oh, and a high challenge there, but the referee allowing an advantage to Desi Farrell. He makes the most of it. So the second player other than Paul Clark to get a point, the other being Paul Curran, of course. Dublin in charge in most sectors of the field at this stage. Jack Sheedy. Vinnie Murphy trying to get in behind. Goalkeeper stops it with his feet. Dermot Ryan making the stop, and still Vinnie Murphy, and in the end it's a 45. Defender just carrying it out there with his leg, but the referee says forget about it, it's going to be a kick out or perhaps even a free instead. It was a very useful ball punted in that time. Vinnie Murphy was in behind the full-back Tom Darcy, and the goalkeeper made a fine save with his feet. Gilroy can't get this one fisted out by Ormsby. As far as Michael Broder. DC, but the referee spots some holding. David Prendergast was being held. The referee had the distinction of leaving this field last year after Dublin's championship match with Offaly with a cut head. He collided with one of the players. Complete accident. So Ger Heaven coming up to hit. It is Westmeath's first point in the match. The first goal coming in the 17th minute. I think Pat O'Neill has been trying to encourage his team in the last few minutes to use the width of this ground a bit more. Because the more they bunch, the more it seems to suit Westmeath. Guyden tried to feed it on, and Keith Barr kicking and putting it over the bar. Dublin had two players there waiting for it. Keith Barr was one of them, Martin Doran the other. Keith Barr's first score. Michael Broder losing it to Niall Guyden. Becoming more and more of a major influence in Dublin teams. McDeegan kicking and putting it over the bar. A very fine score indeed, having made the diagonal run across. Guyden again was the provider. McDeegan running towards his right-hand side, kicking unerringly over the crossbar. Jack Sheedy fisting it down. There's Paul Curran. Challenge brushed aside, however, by John Murray, forcefully carrying it forward. Players calling for it on his left-hand side. Well, he held on, fouled in possession. John Fleming shaping like he might be the one to kick it. Gerheven also fancying his chances. Dublin not retreating fast enough, and there's a 13-metre penalty. Rather foolish if the game were even tighter, but this is now in a much more scoreable position. Gerheven is the one who will kick, and he gets his own and Westmeath's second score. So 7 points to 2. Tom Ormsby is trying to hold on to it for dear life. Gilroy trying to make a burst from the centre of the field, carried on there by Paul Curran, taking it back from Niall Guided. Keith Barr calling for it inside. Closed down very quickly, but the forceful Keith Barr still trying to go forward, losing it to Spike Fagan. Fouled, free quickly taken. Tom Ormsby to John Fleming. Going around Jack Sheedy. Picked up here by Paul Curran. Taking it back there from the fullback Dermot Deasy. Dublin really lording it whenever they want to turn up the heat. Jack Sheedy. Kick into space. Desi Farrell still somehow holds on to it. Making a wider angle across there to Keith Barr. This should be a goal, and it is. A goal after 25 minutes of the first half by Keith Barr. And it was Desi Farrell who somehow got onto the end of a long ball. Others would have given up on it. And then he spotted that Keith Barr had made a good break. The defender losing it completely. And Keith Barr rattling the back of the net. Jack Sheedy elbowing his way out of trouble. Eamon Heary. Vinnie Murphy making a fine catch. Martin Doran's just ahead of him. And Keith Barr looking for a second. Well, I think he was seeing the headlines tomorrow morning. That was fisted on nicely there. Martin Doran playing it nicely forward for Keith Barr, not taking it into the hand, not appreciating how much time he had. And in the end, putting it wide. And Westmeath coming away. Spike Fagan locating Tom Ormsby with 6 minutes to go to half-time and 1-7 to 2 points to score. Noel Lynch just holding on to it somehow. Kieran Walsh trying to dispossess him, fouling him, the referee decides. Well, he's bringing the ball forward 13 metres because the Dublin players didn't retreat fast enough. It's happened a few times, won't exactly please this coach. So now about 16 metres out, very scoreable position. And Gerheven taps over Westmeath's third point. He's their only scorer, and all the scores have come from frees. Tom Ormsby. 3 minutes or thereabouts to go to half-time. Gilroy trying to get in a telling challenge. Ormsby's made a fair bit of ground, looking for a score, and he's put it over the bar. The first front play from a Westmeath player, the midfield player Tom Ormsby, made a lot of headway, very much a solo score. John O'Leary again kicking out quickly, and Westmeath a bit slow to respond to that. David Collins. To keep it away from Jim Gavin, who was fouling in any case. And Noel Lynch, commentator's dream, so easy to pick him out with the flowing locks. He was held as well, just around the 20-metre line. So just before half-time, chance to tag on another score. That's gone sailing over the bar as well. Some very good free-taking by Gerheven. Niall Guidon stepping out over the sideline. Spike Fagan was right alongside him. Spike to kick it. Towards David Prendergast, fisted on by Noel Lynch instead, towards Gerheven, but Paddy Moran pretty much the dominant authority in that part of the pitch. Now Curran. Westmeath struggling to stay with Paul Curran, showing such pace, fouled as he kicked it away, so free from where the ball lands, which is about 45 metres out from the Westmeath goal. I make it just inside the last minute of this first half. Good run forward here by Heary, taking them all on. Well, he was being wrestled and pulled as he was making his run forward. Dublin awarded a 9th free kick for this first half. In the absence of Paul Clark, who's gone off with the injury, it's Keith Barr who's taking over the free-taking duties. Well, anything that Paul Clark can do, Keith Barr can do also from place balls. A goal and 2 points for him now. Just to keep the Westmeath backs on their toes, Keith Barr has drifted back off of the 40 again, and Jim Gavin now going to the right wing. Tom Ormsby fouled, and Pat Gilroy, who started this half in a blaze of glory, has faded out a little bit in the last 10 minutes. Gerheven tapping, and Gerheven putting it over the bar. A 5th point for Gerheven, that's his first from play. And Westmeath now doing better than they did when they last played Dublin back in 1987 in the championship. Then they could only score 5 points. Tom Ormsby gathered up again here by Aidan Collins. Westmeath have done much better in the last quarter of an hour. And the referee sounding the half-time whistle. 5 points the margin at half-time, which is exactly the contribution of Keith Barr during this first half. A goal after 25 minutes and 2 other points as well. The half-time score here reads Dublin 1 goal and 8 points, Westmeath 6 points. Damien Burke has been brought in by Westmeath. He's operating on the 40 in a switch with Noel Lynch, who's gone in full forward. And at this stage, I don't see David Prendergast. Jack Sheedy, controlling from midfield, he's left it behind to John Cooney. Gerheven coming racing across for this one. Corner forward, gets the ball ahead of Paddy Moran. Nice ball forward. John O'Leary nicks it away anywhere and collides into Michael Broder of Westmeath in the process. John was going for the ball. I think it was, in truth, an accidental collision. But John was making sure nonetheless. Aidan Collins, as the game begins to heat up a little bit more. Held in possession, free quickly taken. Michael Broder has picked himself off the ground. He's inside out, just outside the small rectangle, trying to get at the end of this. Shot inside by Larry Giles, breaks down towards him. One back there by Paul Curran. Curran doing some splendid work in defence. Likewise in midfield, Pat Gilroy opening up the play towards Jack Sheedy, and a bit of work to do to race onto that one. Dublin are about to make a change, I can tell you. And Charlie Redmond is poised to come in. Just back from a 1-month suspension. This is the replay of the league final against Donegal. Again, the good bunching at midfield suiting Westmeath, and it's John Cooney trying to set up Noel Lynch. They'll cut the deficit if they get another score here. There on the ground, it's going to be a free in. Great scoring opportunity for Westmeath. They have a great chance of getting the first score of the second half. Keith Barr has been instructed to get the requisite distance passed back by Noel Whelan. Gerheven kicking it. 19 minutes gone in the second half. That's the first score of the half, and it's Westmeath who get it. 6 points for Gerheven, and the gap closed to 4 points. Guidon breaking it down to Heary. Dave Foran now. It's the first hint of an emergency, and the response from Dublin. Guidon setting up Jack Sheedy for a first score of the second half. That's a good response to the Westmeath point just a few minutes ago. Paddy Moran trying to play it down towards Keith Barr, now operating at left half back. deep ball forward, dropped by the corner back by Peter Smith. And Jim Gavin tapping it over the bar. Just in front of him, there are two players on the ground, but sensibly and wisely picking themselves off the ground. And that's another score there. Jim Gavin's first. Now Jack Sheedy just holding up the attack. Players moving into position. One of them is midfield ally Pat Gilroy. Again a low shot when perhaps there was a point there for the taking. Vinnie Murphy kicking. And Vinnie Murphy has put it between the sticks. His first point coming from a sideline ball with 6 minutes to go. Something similar, I seem to remember, happened in the league final. John Fleming. Kieran Welch locating Spike Fagan once again. Dave Foran. And Dave Foran not allowed an advantage. The referee whistled instinctively, didn't spot that there were two Dublin players who might well have got a goal. And it's a free from where the ball lands all right, but it effectively is a further punishment to Dublin. Murphy to Niall Guyden. Well blocked down there by Tom Darcy. Second chance for a point. Vinnie Murphy has it on the end line. And he finishes it in the net. Crazy few seconds, really. People just standing still. The ball appeared to have gone out over the end line. Vinnie held on to it, retrieved it, and found the back of the net. A goal and a point by Vinnie Murphy coming in the last 2 minutes. Fetched by John Cooney from midfield. Here he holds the ball, the referee blows the whistle. Overall, a comfortable win in the end for Dublin. But they had to be thankful to a late Vinnie Murphy goal for giving them a bit more respectability. Matty Kerrigan there and Pat O'Neill, the rival managers this afternoon. And Pat O'Neill wished the best, of course, but at the end of this game here, final score is Dublin 2 goals and 11 points. Westmeath 8 points.
Well, hardly the kind of game to test Dublin's championship mettle, perhaps, but their second half performance may have said something about the quality of the opposition. And that's about it from our Game on Monday special.